Hello and welcome to another edition of the Archeryshack Shop Talk. I'm Jeremy.
I'm TJ.
Number 53, made it over that year hump. Thank y'all for tuning in last week on our live feed. Gave away a lot of cool stuff, and I thought that was pretty neat. Had 50 or 60 people. Got a bug flying around me. Lord. 50 or 6 people on there live. I didn't think we'd get that many being a Saturday evening, but thank y'all. We're still here. Still got people coming in like crazy. It was a heck of a day.
I'm trying to see if I can find if they've got the shoot down going or not.
We're recording this on Saturday. They're doing the ASA shoot down sometime in the near future.
Yeah, I think they're fixing to start doing it, I believe.
We dodged a hurricane this week, 2 of them. They didn't come this way.
Yeah.
And I bet we had, dang near 20 bows picked up today.
Mm-hmm.
It was a action-packed day.
Which in turn means that out of the 64 that's in here, we're still around 60.
It's I wish there was a better way to show local people how, today we had 5 or 6 of us here.
Yeah.
Back here, literally, we all seen it back here on the videos. We got 6 vices or 8 vices or whatever we got. 6 people with the quantity of people that are coming in at one time now. Everybody's 6, pretty much all of us has got a boat at the same time trying to do anything from put a peep in for one guy to, like Jackie's outside sighting somebody in. TJ's putting on a kisser button for a guy. I'm setting up a used bow to sell. Everybody's doing something.
Yeah.
Somebody's setting a draw length. And we didn't really have it today, but you still have these people that get aggravated and think, like if they want a string, for example, and we're like, listen, we don't know if we can guarantee after now that we can have it to you for hunting season in about 2 weeks. And they get all mad, and it's like, listen, we got 64 bows back here. I can't put you in front of them.
Yeah.
Those people dropped it off barely in time. I don't know how to explain it to people, and I don't want to be rude, but I also don't want them to act like assholes and act like we're not trying to help them. So I don't know.
It's hard. I mean, it really is, because you got people like when we hit the 4-week mark on turnaround time, most people were like, y'all are that busy right now? I was like, this year has been the wildest and weirdest year as far as bows being dropped off. I mean, we, probably starting in April, we started getting close to 20 bows in April. That's unheard of for April.
Yeah.
And it's not tournament people, which, there was no tournaments or shoots going on. These were hunting bows, and everybody's like, well, I'm out for the COVID, so I might as well tinker, and which we appreciate those people who got it in early.
Oh, yeah.
It's just hard.
I'm glad we got rid of a bunch today. People picked them up, and we did a lot of arrows. Had Buck here. Buck will be on the podcast next week. Y'all get to meet him, but he was a fletching machine and has been the past few weeks, and he's helped us a lot. We pretty much are just like, Buck, sit over there
and fletch.
So we just feed him arrows all day, and anyway, that worked out good. And but anyway, I wish people could see. I guess an archery shop is a weird business model, because it's like one man could run it except for about 2 months out of the year, and then you need like 6 or 8 people. You know what I mean? And I understand why. Well, like back at Bucks and Bass, I know I always bring that up, and that's 20 years ago now, but we had a gun department, a fishing department, all this stuff, but we could pull people and teach them just enough to help from the fishing department, the gun department, and all that, to where we had enough help, and it wasn't that big a deal for the most part. But like here, we're just archery, so it's not like, it's hard to find either somebody that can help you a couple months out of the year and know what they're doing, or, it's a weird thing. So
it really is.
But we're making it happen. We're making it happen. It's something else.
So we're down to what? almost 2 weeks.
Let me look at the calendar.
Because Tuesday's the 1st, so Tuesday would
Okay.
be 2 weeks
Yeah.
till opening day.
But,
We got a lot of bows to get out.
Well, I'd love to get a couple semi-slow days and get those bows done, and then be able to take in a few more. And like I've been telling people even today, we can take your bow in. It might be done before hunting season, but it's going to be like the day before.
Yeah.
But this string looks okay enough to where I think I would just roll with it. But don't do this next year. You know what I mean? Bring it to us
right after deer season.
Because actually the guy that just left said his string had been on there for 14 years.
Yeah.
And although it didn't look that bad, I wouldn't be shooting it. And he said something about a string. I'm like, yeah. You do for one. And
Yeah.
But them people like that are like, well, it don't look that bad, does it? And it's like, well, it don't look that bad, but if it's been on there 14 years and you shoot it, not a lot, but an okay amount,
Yeah.
you wouldn't catch me
No.
shooting it. So anyway, people like that are the ones that come back with a gash in their hand because the bow blew up on them. And I ain't trying to make fun of the guy or nothing. It's just like, come on now.
And he was an older fella, so he's been around archery for a while.
Yeah.
So you would think.
Me and him had that same conversation 2 to 3 years ago.
Yeah.
He said, this is the original string. I remember, and I was like, it's probably time, and here it still is. But talked to another guy this week, same story. He bought a Matthews Q2 for me in 2002. Still has the same string, the same exact setup, and although it looks good, he was like, I think I'm all right. And I said, well, I'm gonna give you my honest advice, and you do whatever you want to do with it. I said, I would not even draw that bow knowing how old that string is.
Yeah.
Almost 20 years old. But it looks great, and that's what he kept saying. It looks good. And I'm like, oh, yeah, it looks good, but when it explodes, it's going to look bad because, that thing's been under tension on a bow for 20 years.
Yep. Shot.
Yeah, shot. And I said, how much do you shoot? And he's like, I don't shoot a whole lot, just mainly 2 or 3 weeks for hunting season. I'll start practicing, and then after hunting season, I don't shoot it. And I'm like, well, and I told him the same thing. I said, if you were to hunt with this bow, for the love of God, bring it to us after you get done with it, and let's put a string on it. But I guarantee you won't.
Mm-mm.
But anyway, I guess enough. I don't know where I went down the
Rabbit
trail on that one, but
but that's one of the day. I guess you can say a day in the life of an archery shop tech or whatever you want to call us. I mean, I really wouldn't consider myself a tech though.
We are, in my opinion, we go way out of our way to be friendly to people, but I have to stop myself sometimes. It is so easy to see why you see all these posts online about these archery people snapping at people, because it's like, well, the situation I just told you, if one of those guys come back 3 days before the season and say, my bow's exploded, now what am I going to do? Can you get it fixed? And we'd be like, no, you got to have a whole string put on and all this stuff,
Hopefully it didn't crack a limb or
Yeah.
didn't, something didn't just.
And you want to be like, we had this conversation 3 weeks ago and years ago.
Yeah.
It's not like this. What's that statement I wanted to put on the wall?
Your emergency emergency doesn't constitute it.
Your lack of planning does not constitute an emergency on my part. I'd love to put that on the wall, but I don't want to give off that vibe. But I'm just trying to be real with y'all, because I know y'all know what we do. But
Oh yeah.
anyway, like I say, it's easy for me to understand why sometimes shops just kind of go off on people.
And it's also like this. We understand because 9 times out of 10, when do me and you actually get to shoot a bow?
Oh, hardly ever now, but
Well, like if we go to a shoot or we get ready to go hunting or something, when do we actually really set up our bow?
right, last second.
Like an hour before dark. And if we're at the shoot in the hotel room, Fletch and Ayers in the hotel room, and so we kind of understand, but our situation is different because we're trying to get the customer their bow back before hunting season. That's why ours.
But like I say, it's easy until you've experienced working in it it's easy to see why some shops fail or whatever. Because I mean, I'd say, and let's just talk average shop, archery shop. You know, you're not going to employ 6 or 8 people throughout the year because
Mm-hmm.
you're going to go broke. But you got to have 6 or 8 people. I mean, because we've come in early and stayed late with the amount of people we've got,
Yeah,
and we can't keep up. So it's just one of them things. But
it is. It's
the ranch fairy stuff is still coming in. Done
Yep.
talked to several people today about it. Got some more arrows, heavy arrows ordered for people. So that's here to stay for this year at least.
mm-hmm.
What do y'all think? I've been meaning to bring this up. Have y'all seen, or what do you think about Joel Maxfield from Matthews put out a pretty long post on Facebook? Look it up. You can Google or Facebook him, Joel Maxfield. He's like a main engineer guy at Matthews. Is completing the Super Slam. Has shot all sorts of animals, and he pretty much did some penetration tests and said you can shoot these heavy arrows. You're only gaining, I think it was, and I'm sorry, this may not be exact, but it's pretty close. You're only gaining 3% penetration, but you're losing, what was it, like 30% of your speed or whatever.
I can't remember. I read it, and
people went crazy, and there was thousands, literally, of comments on different places about that. And then, you know, some people have never heard of him because he's not like Matt McPherson that owns Matthews, but he's the behind-the-scenes guy that really knows his stuff.
he's
And,
not a YouTuber, and
Right.
he's not on the Outdoor Sportsman Pursuit, whatever channel My Outdoor TV, whatever you do, if you stream or
I meant to bring this up about 2 weeks ago because that was when everybody was really arguing.
Yeah.
But I keep seeing it pop up. I just lost a crock. Y'all bear with me. All right. Anyway, I was just curious what y'all thought about it, and if you've seen it, and it's worth a read. I mean, it's pretty long, and he's got pictures and all that, and but definitely check it out. Joel Maxfield.
ultimately in this whole heavy era versus, or as the ranch fairy calls them, adult errors.
Yeah.
Here's the thing: shoot what you want to shoot.
Oh yeah. Let's not. Well, and I think that's another position we take a little differently. I want to do whatever
the customer wants to do.
y'all want to do.
Yeah.
And I want to make it work for you. I
Yeah.
don't care if that's a 350 grain arrow or 850 grain arrow. We'll make it work, and I ain't gonna talk trash while we're doing it. You know what I mean?
No, I mean, look, and that's one good thing about the sport of archery. Everybody's different, and everything works differently for everybody. It doesn't work the same for me. It doesn't work like I can shoot your setup, and it's not going to shoot like my setup. And you shoot my setup, and it's not going to shoot like your setup.
Yeah.
It's so totally different. And that's what I like about it, because we've had this conversation before. Each bow that comes in this shop, even though you could have 10, I don't know, let's say Infinite Edge Pros on the wall in here for restring and retunes. And out of all 10 of them, neither one you're going to do the exact same thing to, except put the same string length and cable length on there. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
Other than that, I mean, it's going to be totally different.
And I think that's why we see a lot of the same bows come in from the factory, but something's different on them. We have to kind of
Yeah.
I don't know what the word, recalibrate, retune, whatever. I think from the factory it's probably like, do this, ship it. But then we get it, and it's like, all right, the yoke's a little wonky or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, have y'all shot? Is anybody out there shooting the SICK broadheads? SIK. I'm gonna try them this year, but I still hadn't really messed with them. I'm just curious has anybody shot anything with them and really had great success yet? Because I think I've piqued a lot of people's interest, and I want to play with them, but.
What are you going to end up running?
I don't know. I think my latest idea is to build some Black Eagle, either Renegades or Rampages, probably a 250-ish, maybe a 300. Put about 75 grains behind the insert and stick with my 100-grain broadhead, I think. But I don't know. I built somebody some Rampage pages, and I liked the way they were set up, but I don't remember who it was now.
I think it was old Gunner.
Maybe it was. I think he was at like 600
Yeah.
grain, so it wasn't super heavy, but it was up there. I might try something like that.
I'm just sticking with the old standard 420 grain total grain weight this
Yeah.
year. Now next year, which I mean, I don't think the heavy air fad, I think it's here to stay for
A little while, yeah.
Yeah, for 2-3 years. So next year, I would do it now, but it's kind of too late in the ball game. I done got everything set up, except for my rest. My rest hasn't got here yet. But I'm gonna go probably Rampage 150s, and to be quite honest, I've done a little bit of math on it, but I want to try to go as heavy as possible.
Yeah.
I mean, I want to see what the barrier is. You know, what's too heavy?
I wonder if they still make. I mean, I hadn't seen them in any of our distributors' books, but back a good while back, like 15 years, I think it was Carbon Express made these weight tubes, and literally you would put your insert and all in, and then the tube would go against the back of the insert, and you'd actually cut it flush with where the knock was going to be, so there was no play, and it would add like a lot of weight.
Yeah.
I wonder if they still make something like that. If we could find that,
Oh.
some people would go crazy.
Yeah.
And
I
then-
actually thought about that whenever I was test fitting some weights for a guy today on some Spartans. I thought the little knot collar would come out, but it wouldn't, so I screwed them all together. They were 50 grain inserts, so I was sitting there thinking, here's an idea. Maybe I can take and just screw and put me a little blue Loctite and just run it the length of the air shaft and put down in there.
And I know back in the day, the way people supposedly going to Africa to shoot all this big stuff were taking aluminum arrows with like a carbon arrow inside it, screwed into the back of the insert, making them like really, really heavy, shooting a 100-pound bow and all this stuff.
Oh, man.
I ain't really thought about all that in a long time, but I would like to research those weight tubes, or if y'all know anything about it, post
Yeah.
it in the comments. I know Carbon Express made them. This was probably 2004 or 5 that I looked into them and seen them, but I hadn't seen any advertisement for anything like that in quite some time.
The old heavy air wheel.
Heavy airs.
I don't think they've got started on the shoot down unless my phone is froze up.
I don't think so.
I know it's Central Time. Oh, wait a minute.
Uh-oh.
Maybe it is.
I seen going in, and y'all know about this by the time this podcast comes out, but Dan was ahead of Levi, and I think Sharon Wallace was a good bit ahead on the women's side of things and
Mhm.
all that. So I feel like we did a lot of kisser buttons today.
Yeah, and we've done a ton of nose buttons the last couple months, but the kisser button thing, I thought everybody was kind of getting away from a kisser button myself, but
We also did something this week. I'm curious to see if it works, and if y'all have done it, let me know. When you get one of these nose buttons, the Bomar nose button or whatever, it comes with 2 different sizes, a little bit bigger one and a little bit smaller one. And a guy mentioned it, and so we tried it. We put the bigger one on almost as a kisser button, and then the little one up top as a nose button. And at first I thought, this is going to be an awful idea because it might hurt his lip or whatever. But then the more I thought about it, I'm like, this might be the perfect idea, because the nose button has got these sharp edges, so to make you not push your nose into it hard. It just lets you know it's there. And that's my problem with the kisser button, is people get it so far up in their cheek and lip that it pushes side pressure on the string. But with that sharp one, you ain't going to push on it hard.
well, and plus they chew on it like a squirrel anyway.
They do. We've seen some nasty ones in here.
Oh,
teeth
man.
marks and stuff. But I'm curious to see how that works out, because that may be the ideal. We could sell these nose buttons, but they'd get 2 for 1, really. You know, we'd
Yeah.
be putting on a kisser and a nose button, but it would only let them lightly touch to not cut into them pretty much. That
Yeah.
might be neat.
Might be. So
seen somebody post today talking about make sure you flex your arrows. He was just shooting groups and said he didn't know it, but when he before he shot, he flexed an arrow and one like snapped, and definitely something to think about.
Well, let's go ahead and start out because I know the deer season, our low country deer season's already started, but as we said, 2 weeks from this when this podcast come out on Tuesday, will be our opening day, and I know a lot of states are fixing to get started. Always check your arrows. You've been practicing, flex them, like this guy did. If one snapped on him, and when you're working out in the woods, putting up a deer stand or trimming limbs and you're in a tree, wear your safety harness.
Yeah, well, I'm sure we'll hear about every year. There's more and more people that fall.
Yeah,
and I know, like, I got about 4 close friends that have fell and got really, really, really hurt and ended up, in the ICU and then all this stuff for weeks and rehab, and I just, oof.
Yeah.
Also, I think we brought this up one week, but especially with lighted nocks, I guess it's just how they're made, but sometimes the ears of those nocks will open up a little bit and you'll click it on, but it won't be clicked on good. And we've had people, they'll click their arrow on, they don't know it, but it either falls off or it almost falls off, and it ultimately dry fires their bow. Check your lighted nocks, make sure they're clicking on good. Don't forget, TJ showed a guy a while ago, the difference in his regular arrow and then his arrow with a lighted nock was like 25 grains.
Yep.
And make sure you at least shoot them
a
time or two.
Yeah.
40 yards, 25 grains is a pretty big deal.
Yeah, it is. And another big thing is, I know we got a lot of newbies out there in archery getting in the woods. Please just don't shoot at a noise. Please identify your target.
Yeah.
There's at least around South Carolina, Georgia, North Carolina, there's last few years they've been, some hunters shot or killed because somebody just shot at a noise. So, always check your equipment, always wear your safety harness in the tree stand, and, make sure what you're shooting at.
Yep. It can get crazy. But crossbow folks, make sure you got rail lube and make sure the string's looking good, because that's a lot of friction going on. Check your scope, make sure it's tight, all those sort of things. Every year it gets a little more. There's more and more crossbows that we sell and work on, and it's still not as many as compound bows, but I'd almost be willing to say in the next 10 years,
it'll be about equal.
Yeah, it'll be a 50-50, because there's a lot of rifle hunters that want to get in the wood in our state. I don't know how it is in your state, but they can take a crossbow during archery season, so they can get in the woods a few weeks earlier if they got a crossbow, and then they ain't got to worry really about practicing all that much.
Yeah.
So check it over, and a lot of those folks, I don't feel like they understand how much power is in the limbs, and if something happens and you can get hurt. So
yeah, big time.
They
always keep your thumbs and your fingers. Most of them now come with a hand guard or finger guard, but if you got an older one that don't, keep them fingers out or you'll be missing one.
Yeah, we've seen it, and
yeah, we have.
I hadn't seen it happen in person, but I've seen people come in after the fact and be like, "What happened to your finger?" And tried it off with a crossbow. So it's not cool. I've talked to several traditional shooters going to shoot a deer. I know David Velez is trying to kill a deer with a recurve this year. He's been practicing at 20 and 15 yards. We had Rodney on here the other week. He's always shot a traditional bow, and he's killed I forget how many deer, but a lot of deer.
Yeah.
So
he says he's missed more than he killed, though.
Well, that's just the way it is.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But man, I could take a nap.
There ain't no nap. It's just plain out going to bed.
Yep. But yeah, it's I guess next weekend will be Labor Day weekend, right?
Yeah.
So it'll either be wide open or not that bad. I've had it go both ways, I think.
I think last year we were kind of
off. Yeah.
I think that morning, from the time we opened at 10 to let's say 11:30, 12, we were fine. But right at 12 at lunchtime, it just. But I think dove season also opens up
I think you're right.
on Saturday. I could be wrong. Don't hold it to me. Check your rules and rig book because I don't dove hunt anymore.
But yeah, I think traditionally that's just a little bit slower of a day, and then the next Saturday will be wide open, and then
Yeah.
it will be open. But I seen where a couple other states open right around the same time ours does, September 15th.
I know Georgia opens up the 12th, I think it is. 10th or 12th. It's right there before us.
I think they're the Saturday before us.
Yeah.
Yeah. When does y'all's is open? If you're not in South Carolina, when do you open? Just out of curiosity, put it in the comments. I actually meant to Google this before, just out of curiosity, and know what happens when. But
I think Ohio starts around September 1st, somewhere in there, 1st through the or 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, somewhere. It's sometime in September. I think I seen somebody post on. I got in some of those saddle hunting groups on Facebook.
I did too.
And it's kind of like anything else. You ask a question and you get 10 different brands. But
That's what I hate about the internet. I got in like 3 or 4 of them because you mentioned you got in them, and we both don't have a saddle. We both are semi-interested, but it's not top of our list. But
no.
I was just reading other people post, what about this, that, and other, and people are just jumping all over their ass about stupid stuff. And I'm thinking, that's just why I hate the internet. I mean, I love it, but I hate it because even in these archery groups, I watch. You'll get a complete beginner and ask a legitimate beginner question, and instead of people saying, "Hey, you might want to look into this or do that or whatever," you'll have people arguing, and then it just turns into a big cluster of stupid argument, and this poor guy still don't know what to do.
Yeah, I got out a lot of the groups just for that simple.
I've considered it,
and I've got out of some. You got a kid. Let's say a 8-year-old kid kills his first deer. It's a little bitty spike. That kid is just jumping for joy, happy. The daddy's happy, the mama's happy, and they'll post a picture in one of them groups, and then you got 30 freaking people. Well, why did you let him shoot him? He ain't getting. I'm like, and I got out of it because I just don't agree with that. 8-year-old, my first deer was a 90-pound doe, for crying out loud.
Yeah, I agree with you. That's people just, it ultimately boils down to you can say whatever you want to say, and you'll never meet these people or most of them. And if you were to say some of that stuff face to face, you're gonna get an ass whooping.
Pretty much.
So that's the problem with the internet, and I've seen it on everything from hunting to whatever. But
hunting, fishing, so that's why I got out of a lot of them, is just for that reason right there. I just like, this kid is out enjoying the outdoors. He shoots his first deer, and it might be a 90-pound spike or something like that, and people are just going crazy. I can't believe you let him shoot that. And I'm like, I can't put up with that. I just really can't.
I'm curious to see what bows are possibly coming out in October this year, or is everybody going to push to the ATA? Is there going to be an ATA? I don't know what's going on. I hadn't heard from, what are we in, August?
Into August.
Well, with PSC, there's been so many rep changes. Hadn't talked to him, but I hadn't heard from PSC. Usually PSC and Bayer already have some rumors flying about what might be coming out, and I hadn't heard anything, so I'm curious.
I think a lot of these companies are so far backed up with back orders that I could see them not pushing nothing out this year till the ATA to try to get caught up.
I seen a post, this has been a while back, but talking about why does every bow company come out with a new bow every year? Why don't they do it every 2 years or whatever? And I kind of agree with that. I wish it'd be nice for them to come out and have a year or two to kind of make sure they get them out. Because, Matthews, for example, I still see a lot of posts online of people waiting 12 and 15 weeks for different VXRs, and it's like, why are we coming out? And it's not just Matthews, but why are we coming out with new bows and you can't even get out what's been ordered this year? So, and I know the Corona had an impact on that some, but
Oh yeah.
anyway.
We need to take a live feed one Thursday night, and whenever we get our hunting set up,
Yeah.
and just kind of run through we've run through our setups on the podcast and on the live feed many times, but actually just put the bows on the camera.
I may, according to what,
or cameras on the bows.
I got to completely set up my hunting rig. I may do a video on it, but according to if we get time to do all that, I don't know. Awkward silence.
Yeah, I was sitting here. They were showing a target on the thing. Sorry, I was looking. The ASA Classic is going on now, so.
We had a guy shoot a quiver.
Yeah, we did.
Off of our wall this week, and unfortunately, I wasn't even here to see it.
It was not intended. Nothing broke.
No, TJ's brother was like, "Listen, here's what happened." He was like, "TJ was like, I bet you can't shoot that damn blue quiver over off the wall." And he's like, "By God, watch this!" Nah, but it sounded like a good story.
I was just putting on the kisser button, and I told him, I said, well, let me come around. I had the door open where our 4x4 target is, where you can, pretty much it's a blank bale pretty much. And I said, well, I'll come around. I'll get you to draw it, and that way we can get that kisser set. Well, before I could get around the counter, he done got kind of drawed back, and I'm like, okay. And he shot before and everything, had a new release that he got from us, and it was a handheld. So when he went to let down, his finger was completely away from the trigger. I mean, it wasn't nowhere near the thumb barrel. But the way that release is made, when he was easing down, he squeezed into the actual trigger mechanism, and it pretty much fired the bow. But, I wasn't thinking about that. I just remember a knock coming by my head, and the air was stuck in a quiver over there. Which, no fault to the guy. I mean, it wasn't his fault. He didn't intentionally shoot the wall or...
We ought to, this is no joke. I was just sitting here listening and thinking, we need to put a sign on that door right there that says, I don't know how we'd word it, but something to the effect of any bows being drawn need to be aimed at target with an arrow down there. That way maybe people would pay some attention to it.
And like I said, the guy, he wasn't thinking, and I mean, I wasn't thinking anything either. I mean, he been shooting a release, been shooting a bow. All we did was put a kisser button on there, and he thought that something had messed up. And I actually, I was sitting there thinking, when I seen him start squeezing the hand, and I knew that's what it was. But, like I said, we didn't crawl on him or anything like that. Stuff happens. It's going to happen.
I thought I was a goner a while ago. A guy brought in a derailed bow, like a blowed up bow, but the cables still were on it, holding all this tension. Just as I was going to put it in the press, TJ knocks over a old metal solid bow case, and it goes, pow! And I was like, shit, I'm done. This is it. And anyway.
I can only imagine what that boy was thinking out here.
Because I was like, oh, let me take this thing back here quick. Like I say, I was starting to wheel on that press, and but it was interesting.
Oh, yeah.
Quite interesting.
It was.
We had some people travel in today. We had some folks from the Columbia way drive a couple hours. We had some people from Asheville. It still blows my mind how many people, drive several hours to get to our little shop.
Mm-hmm.
But thank you if you're listening.
And also what amazes, and we talked about this before, but most people that come in here, they're like I had a guy come in this week, dropped off a Q2XL. He's like, it's just been hanging up in my pole barn. I'm like, and his son is shooting, so he's like, he said, I kind of quit bow hunting. He said, I shoot her with him in the yard, and I'm like, you definitely need a string on this bow, because I said, this kind of looks like the original string. And he's like, no, it's not the original string. And I was like, yeah, but you're getting a lot of fray up around this cable slide. And I was like, you need a new string. And he's like, no problem. You know, he said, well, how far out are you? I said, 4 weeks. He's like, really? I'm like, yeah, we're wide open. And he's like, I know I'm last minute. And he said, it's completely on me. He said, so, and he was just, you know, he was as cool as he could be about it. And you get some people that,
Yeah.
but we won't go back down that rabbit path.
Yeah. It's an interesting path.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting path. These big shot targets, we've talked about them before and even showed them on some of our videos, but man, it's still funny to watch people shoot them and pull an arrow out, you know, shoot them at point blank and pull an arrow out with 2 fingers and go, holy crap. But we still got some left. We'll probably be about out at hunting season, but we still got them. We still got some broadhead targets. I did run out of bag targets. I wish I'd have ordered about 4 times as many bag targets.
Yeah.
The bag target's good, and like the ones we had, we sold for like $40. You know, the bad thing about a bag target is a lot of arrows now have a beveled insert that kind of is a little bit bigger than the arrow, and sometimes you'll get it caught in that bag, and that can kind of piss you off. And then, you know, you shoot it a good bit, and the guts start coming out of it. You got to recover it, but I mean, you can recover it for $20. But
for 20 more bucks, you can buy a brand new one.
that's about the truth, yeah. So, but for a field tip, I guess a bag target's hard to beat.
Yeah.
Hard to beat.
And I wish, to be honest, I wish 3D targets were cheaper.
You would think somebody, the only one I know of that's pretty cheap
Is that Shooter Buck? I think it is.
the shitter buck.
Shooter.
I thought you said shitter.
No.
What'd y'all hear?
Oh, Lord.
But it is compressed cardboard. That's how they make them things. Because them pigs that we bought, you know, it about 3 shoots and they were done.
Yeah.
But anyway, I'm just surprised somebody. I mean, of all the factories and stuff that's out there now, why is there? How can we not have a retail $50-$60? And I've seen Academy have some like $80 pigs and stuff, but $50-$60 deer targets, I don't know. But it is what it is.
Because my old Glendale, the old center, I need a new one for it, but the blame center cost just as much as almost as the target did. And I'm sitting there going, I need to look into something else.
That poor Glendale is out there. We
Oh,
might as well
man.
just level. The
Yeah.
leg fell off. We tried to rebar through the whole thing. The center fell out.
Yeah.
It was one of the ones when they first went to the plastic legs
Yeah.
and the foam ends, but ugh.
Yes.
Anyway,
We need to put those inserts back in here in the other ones.
agreed. We've done a lot of rambling today.
Yeah, we did. We did a lot of ranting, too. No, we wouldn't rant.
Nah, we like what we do. It's just,
Oh, yeah.
It's just wild the way some people think or act or both. I don't know.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah, somewhere in there.
Oh, man. We might get off here and take us a nap. Work on some more bows.
Yep.
We did get in some Conquest Talon quivers. I showed them on the live feed, I think 2 weeks ago, something like that. It's pretty neat, worth looking at, worth Googling. But
I
don't
think that's about all we've got in. I mean, we hadn't. Didn't we put some Conquest bars on order, or did we?
I hadn't ordered the ones you're talking about yet.
Okay.
Yeah. I need to. We got Vapor Trail coming in. The Gen 7X orders coming in this coming week. The dang mail. Have y'all ordered anything online? I've had more trouble. We had luckily we didn't really need it, thank goodness, but we had an order. Hopefully, we were hoping to be here by yesterday to have it for the weekend. And I guess it got jumbled up on the way and ended up staying in North Carolina for like 3 days. But we'll finally get it next week. But I've had more mail shipping problems lately than I ever have.
I've got 2 things on order right now. I was telling you about it. Some phone cases. Supposedly I ordered them, got a tracking number and everything, and for about a little over a week, they hadn't moved. So I emailed the company and they're like, "Oh, it's on back ordered." I'm like, "Oh, okay, no problem." And then I ordered some cheap phone cases to get me through till those come in. And it seems like nothing updates.
Yeah.
It's just like they send you a tracking number, you check it, and then it just stops.
I don't know. I know in the heat of the corona, the mail lady had told me that I said something about, I don't remember what we had going on. They had lost something or whatever, but she said they were only at like 30-something% workforce or whatever because of the corona. And I was like, good Lord. I'm sure they're better than that now, but still not fully back.
No.
But anyway, stuff missing and not moving and everything else. I don't know how many things I've ordered, and it would say shipped, and it would like show the next city it went to, and then for like 4 or 5 days it would show no update, and then it would just show up.
Or it'd say in transit.
Yeah. I don't know. Oh, I didn't mean to hit that. Anyway, we'll get off here and quit rambling. I feel like today I get in here, we get so many bows on like a Saturday especially, and some guy will want to start telling deer hunting or pig hunting stories, and I hope it's not as obvious as it seems like it is to me, but I'm sitting here thinking like, what's the next bow I need to work on? Did we fletch those arrows? All this, and I'm just like, yep, nope. He could be like, you want to bomb Nagasaki? Yep. I hate to say I'm not paying him any attention, but I'm thinking, buddy, we got all these people. Please quit telling the story about this deer you shot 35 years ago. Let me get to the next guy. But
yeah,
it's all good.
It is.
We'll see y'all on the next one.
Yep.
And we'll come up with something cool to do sooner than later.
Yeah.
Probably a month and a half. We'll start playing with broadhead tests, and we'll get some more stuff to give away. Probably not big as our 1 year, but we'll get some decent stuff to give away soon.
Yeah.
So y'all stay tuned, and as soon as we start, we probably got 3 weeks, 4 weeks before it starts coming back down to where we can do some different types of videos and stuff, but we'll get them going again soon. Somebody had messaged me and said they missed the Sunday videos with us shooting and the bow tuning and all this, and I said just give it about a month, we'll get it going again. It's just so much, it takes so long to record some of the bow tuning. We got so many bows, I'd rather get 3 or 4 bows done instead of just one and then having to edit all that this time of year. But
because depending on the bow, you figure you've got at least 2 hours in it from start to finish. And so when we edit them and everything out and put them online, you're seeing the edited version. You're not seeing
us moving the camera and us doing this, moving that, and then another 30 minutes to an hour of editing and this and that other. So, and I mean, I love doing it. Don't get me wrong. I really like doing that. It's just I hate to not get bows done. So I come out here whenever I did that Buckmaster video the other Sunday, and I was like, I wouldn't mind videoing this one, so I did, but we'll see. Might try to get another 1 or 2 done. Anyway, sorry if y'all are still listening.
Yeah, sorry we bored you.
But we'll see y'all soon.
Yep.
And y'all be safe. Let us know if there's anything you want us to do or talk about, and we'll do it.
Yep.
See y'all next time.